Good morning. Welcome to Fix It Warrior. Today we're going to be winterizing the boat, putting it away for the winter. It's not really that difficult of a job, but there are some steps that it's important to know. I have a twin engine boat, plus I have a full cabin. So I'm going to kind of show you how to do that quickly. I would plan on an afternoon doing it. It's not really that time consuming, but there's some things that are important. So let's go winterize the boat. So what we have here is a jug that um, this will actually put antifreeze through the engine. Your outdrive has a water pump in it that pulls in water up through the outdrive into the engine block and back out. So I usually like running, when I pull it out of the water, I usually like running just fresh water through it for a few minutes just to clean out any salt residue that's in the block. And then we'll flip a switch here with this setup right here, and it'll run antifreeze through the block. And when this is just about empty, I know that the block is full. But when I'm doing that, I'm also going to be fogging out the engine so that the engine will stall out, and the fogging chemical will then coat the inside of the engine. So it's a little bit of a process, and you have to kind of be mindful and move pretty quick, but it's pretty easy. So we're going to fill this up so that we have plenty of antifreeze that goes through the motor. I don't remember how many gallons, but I want to say it's about 4, 5 maybe that we run through. And you'll see how we do that in just a moment. Okay, so I have 4 gallons of antifreeze in here, which should be plenty. I'm going to tip this down like this. Oh, ah! Always make sure these are closed. There we go. See, part of doing these videos is to show you what not to do. Another thing that's important to do is, sorry, my finger's in there, this plug right here, we want to unscrew this and drain out any water that's in the bilge. So we'll do that right now. And you're going to get all kinds of nasty water and oil and things that come out of this bilge from being collecting all summer long. So get ready for the nastiness right here, starting. It'll look nasty. Nah. Ah, not as bad, but it will turn dark as the oil, whatever oil's in there, is on the top. It's normal to have water in your bilge. Make sure your bilge pumps work. You'd never know that mine do, but they do. Here comes the oil. Ooh, I see a leaf or something in there. There we go. Ooh, that nastiness. Look at that. It's like little leaves and stuff. I don't know how it gets in there when you have a cover on it, but it does. Yeah, that's usually nasty, that part. Not as bad as it has been, but it'll continue to drain till everything's out of there. So yeah, and when they store the boats, they always store them to where they're angled backwards, so that the water will drain out the back. So there we go. Okay, so these earmuffs right here, they look like, we're going to slide these on until they cover these holes here, just like this. And then we're going to tie the hose up here, and also the setup up there, so that once we're idling, we can make the switch and it'll start sucking out the antifreeze. So you can see here that the water is running through the engine cleaning out any of the salt. And now I'm going to jump up there. I'm going to make sure the idle is as low as it can be. I'm going to jump up, turn the water off, turn on the valve for the antifreeze, let it run through the motor, and then I'm going to try to fog the motor out so that it stalls out or gets close to it anyway. And then the motor will be completely filled with antifreeze, and then we're going to go into the engine compartment and we're going to manually take apart the hoses, pour antifreeze down there, release the drain plugs so that any water in the block is out. It doesn't really take that long. These are the motors. I've got the fire suppression cover off. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn off the water and I'm going to open up the valve, and now you see that the antifreeze is now running through the motor. I always want to check and make sure it's coming out the bottom, which it is. Now we're going to try to fog out this motor. Let's see if we have any luck. Now, I never have good luck in the motor stalling out. I never have with these engines. I know I put just about a can in there. Now I'm going to just turn off so I'm not losing any more of this. I want to say another thing quickly too is you hear that the exhaust fan is running. This is very important. About 7 or 8 years ago, I was in an engine compartment trying to get a boat running, and I didn't have the fan on, and the fuel vapors ignited and really burnt my legs. I had deep second-degree burns on the insides and underneath of my legs. So I always run the blower to just get the fumes out. What I didn't realize, and I've always worked on cars, is that in cars you have an open fender well system where the fuel vapors will just escape underneath. Fuel vapors don't rise. I thought in an engine compartment they would just rise. They stay low and they accumulate. So I learned a valuable lesson in the burn unit and out of commission for about 5 weeks. So always run your blower. I know it sounds like overkill, but I'm telling you, you don't want to get burnt. So that's basically what we do here. And in a moment, I'm going to show you how we take apart all of the hoses, put antifreeze down there, undo the drain plugs underneath, and then this motor will be done for winter. So quickly, I'm going to run the other engine, do the same thing I just did, and then we'll be back down in here and I'll show you how to do all this. Okay, so we need to get underneath here, right? And give me a second here. That plug right there and that plug right there has to be unscrewed on both sides on both engines. That'll get any water out of these risers here and any that's left in the block. So I'm going to do that real quick. A little too tight to show you with the phone, but you get the picture. Okay, so what I normally do is I will undo these right here, and then I'll pour antifreeze down each one. You'll hear it run out the block, and that way you know you've gotten any water out of the block that needs to be out. I do these every year, so they actually come off pretty easy. I think if you leave them on for a long period of time, they get really rusty. So I'll show you what I do here really simple. Okay. Okay. So then I'll pour antifreeze down this hole here. I can't hold the camera and do the same thing at the same time, so trust me, I'm going to fill all 4 of these. Just pour enough down there where you can hear it run out. So it's 4 o'clock and I have the shrink wrap on. Again, I reused old shrink wrap. I think this is my 4th year using this one, but you can see it does a pretty good job. It's been a full day, but the boat is completely winterized and ready for winter. So yeah, I think it turned out really good. And I have it set up every year where I can just retighten down the ropes there. So then I have my door to get in there to work on the inside, which we'll be doing the dash here in the next few weeks. So yep, and my slip is empty. The other thing we're going to be doing is putting in a de-icer or a bubbler, and I have one that I put in every year, and I'll show you how I do it. And it goes right there at the end of the floating dock. So yeah, some good stuff coming up, and we'll cross that bridge in a few days.